welcome back to Blue Flag Bandits, the series that drives F1's worst cars since 2010, so you don't have to. Often in the desperate hunt for points. And we are very close to the end of the 2016 season. It's time for the Mexican Grand Prix from the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, and it comes off the back of a really good result at the Circuit of the Americas. We come here after a third place finish in a wet race at COTA. And as you can see, that brings us up to 77 points. We are 3 off our second best season in this series, and just 11 off our best season in this series. Could be going back to back with record-breaking points hauls. It's 15 and 16. But there's still a couple of rounds left. We are 11th in the standings, 2 points off Nico Hülkenberg, just 10 off Felipe Massa up there in 8th. We could still snatch 8th spot. That'd be a really great result. Lewis Hamilton declared champion in the last round, 94 clear of Nico Rosberg with just 75 left. Max Verstappen is third ahead of Raikkonen and Vettel. Ricciardo, Bottas, Massa, Perez and Hülkenberg the top 10. We're just behind them, as I say. 10 clear of Jenson Button, who we drew a rivalry with after a poor Japanese Grand Prix a couple of rounds ago. Fernando Alonso is 13th, 22 points behind us, so we should be able to at least keep ahead one of the McLarens come season's end. Kvyat is 14th with Magnussen. Pascal is 16th with 15 points on board. Good haul for him. Then it's Sainz, Gutierrez, Grosjean, Nasser, Palmer and Ericsson. Everybody has points this season, constructors-wise. Mercedes are champions there as well. They've had the championship for the Silver Arrows. They lead Red Bull by 152 points, who are 3 clear of Ferrari. Williams on their own really in fourth, and Force India kind of on their own in 5th. McLaren, who are on their own in 6th. We're on our own in 7th, although 30 points behind McLaren with 3 rounds. You never know, we might be able to overhaul them. Well ahead of Toro Rosso, Renault, Haas and Sauber though. So a comfortable mid-table finish for Manor is on the cards here, which is a really great way to send them off, because they will not be in Formula 1 after this season, as we know. We're just 3 rounds away from this team being off the grid, and it being 10 years before we get 22 cars once again, and that is with the entry from Cadillac in 2026, who at the moment, at time of recording, just coming off the Formula 1 summer break in 2026, looks like Caddy, who will be driving for in the 26th season. Yay. Oh dear. But Mexico only returned to the calendar a couple of seasons ago, but we've had a couple of strong results here already, last season in particular, in the McLaren. So this could be another really good circuit for us. We've seen pretty much every round this season, with the exception of probably Hungary. We've had pace enough for the points. We've been denied points in pretty much every round this season. No, we haven't. Let me rephrase that. We've been denied the opportunity to take points in every round this season by AI shenanigans, stupid DNFs. We've had 6 DNFs this season, which is more than the rest of the series combined. And we've been dumped out the points by AI leaving their nose in, tipping us, being a little kamikaze in their moves, shall we say. But as the season's gone on, we've got a little bit better at racing them. Not always, Japan proves that. But Mexico feels like it could be another circuit, much like COTA, that we could perform really well at. And that would be great if we could, because it's Brazil and Abu Dhabi after that. And yeah, we could really end the season on a high. 11 points. That's all we need to level our record points haul in Blue Flag Bandits. 12 sees us bettering and making Manor the best team in the series, which would be a 2 for 3 for this team, with obviously Virgin Racing 80 points in our first season in 2010. Same team, different name. McLaren, the only other outliers. But we're going to go see how this car handles around Mexico City. Well, we do. We'll talk about the real world. 2016 Mexican Grand Prix. The teams and drivers return to Mexico for the second running of a Mexican Grand Prix since its return to the calendar. Nico Rosberg held a 26-point lead coming into this race, with only him and Hamilton able to clinch the title with the 3 rounds remaining. This one was interrupted by a red flag after Felipe Nasr's front wing collapsed on the curb at turn 11, necessitating a stoppage to clear the debris. Verstappen also encountered problems when his rear brakes caught fire, interrupting his running. Lewis Hamilton would top the times, ahead of Vettel and Raikkonen. Practice 2 wasn't beset by stoppages, though there would be problems for a couple of drivers. Grosjean missed a lot of the session with a hybrid issue, while Kvyat stopped at the end of the pit lane as the checkered flag was flown. Vettel would pip Hamilton to the top of the times, while Rosberg was third fastest. The final practice session was one of frustration for many, as all 22 drivers were attempting qualifying simulations, meaning there was plenty of traffic to contend with. Massa would run across the grass at turn 1, while Rosberg, Raikkonen and Button would all make errors on their final runs of the session. Verstappen would be quickest ahead of Hamilton and Ricciardo. Q1 was over before it had begun for Jolyon Palmer. Renault finding a crack in his chassis after running over a curb in practice. This left only 5 to be eliminated, with both Haas cars needing big improvements to make it through. Gutierrez pushed a little too hard and span in front of Grosjean, compromising both Haas drivers and knocking them out, alongside Ocon, Kvyat, Nasr and Palmer. The middle part of qualifying wouldn't have the drama of the first part, Williams leaving some late improvements to make it through, being the only real action of note. Alonso would find himself eliminated, alongside Perez, Button, Magnussen, Ericsson and Wehrlein. It looked like a straight fight once again between the Mercedes cars in Q3, though Rosberg couldn't set a quick enough lap on his first run to get ahead of the Red Bulls, championship leader only setting the 4th quickest time. There were improvements in the second run for most, though Hamilton couldn't improve. This gave Rosberg a chance of taking pole, but he was unable to match his teammate, ending the session second alongside the Mercedes. The top 10 would be completed by Verstappen, Ricciardo, Hülkenberg, Raikkonen, Vettel, Bottas, Massa and Carlos Sainz. The long run down to turn 1 was always going to provide excitement, and so it proved, as first Hamilton outbraked himself and cut through the grass, while behind him Rosberg also had to take evasive action after banging into Verstappen. The action didn't stop there. Gutierrez clipped Ericsson, who was then sent into the path of Wehrlein, the manner being eliminated, but it struck the wall. Sainz also found himself in the wars, oblivious to Alonso on his outside, the young Spaniard forcing his countryman off track and netting himself a penalty, the only driver to be awarded a penalty in the opening lap skirmishes. The safety car was called to clear shards of carbon fibre littered around the corners, and Red Bull threw the dice to put Ricciardo into an alternate strategy to attempt to overhaul Mercedes. Once the safety car returned to the pits, Hamilton led from Rosberg, with most looking at a one-stop strategy. However, with Ricciardo making good progress, Verstappen was called in earlier than most, followed a few laps later by the Mercedes pair. The Dutchman would catch Ricciardo quickly, the Australian moving aside for his teammate. The middle part of the race proved to be an exercise in patience, as most were attempting to run the medium tyres to the end, though Vettel was last to stop, giving the new tyre advantage. Sensing they had little to lose, Raikkonen was also called in for new tyres, as was Ricciardo, Red Bull attempting to overturn the advantage Ferrari had manufactured for themselves. Vettel and Ricciardo would both catch Verstappen, who had stayed out near the end of the race. Vettel looked for a move into turn 1, Verstappen locked up and skipped over the grass to hold position. Vettel was quick to call for the position to be given up, something Red Bull agreed with and asked Max to move aside. Verstappen would, however, ignore the call, holding on to the position with a pending investigation to come. Vettel would become increasingly frustrated, which allowed Ricciardo to close up and make his own move on the inside of his former teammate. Vettel moved across to defend, colliding with Ricciardo in the process. Initially, Verstappen would be handed a 5-second time penalty, relegating him off the podium, with Vettel being promoted. But the German would then get a 10-second penalty, giving Ricciardo the final spot on the podium. Out front, Hamilton would win ahead of Rosberg, the Brit once again chipping away at the championship lead with just 2 rounds remaining. Ricciardo would eventually be given third ahead of Verstappen, Vettel, Raikkonen, Hülkenberg, Bottas, Massa and Perez. seconds left in 2016, and we're so close to a record haul of points that we know we have to push to try and get it. Qualifying here, though, could be tricky. It's a high-power circuit with a technical section that demands a lot more downforce than we can normally muster. So getting out of Q1 could actually be tricky. We're going for 16th place on the grid. Hopefully, though, we can snatch something a little bit higher with a perfectly put together lap.
Not long now until the lights go green for the Mexico Grand Prix qualifying. So let's get ready and see who has that pole position winning performance in them this afternoon. This is the kind of track that eats rear tyres for breakfast, or so I'm told by more experienced drivers than myself.
Well, tyre management is key here, specifically the rears. It's all too easy to overheat and wear the rear tyres as they're punished out of the low-speed corners. Most teams won't be able to avoid some kind of issue here, especially the teams that are running less downforce.
In the garage then for Q1 here in Mexico. Practice felt alright again, as usual, right at the start of the first session, so time's not particularly representative, but the car felt pretty good, particularly through the sort of middle sector of the lap. As I said at the top, this feels like COTA, this feels like the kind of circuit that we can do alright at. We obviously got into Q2 in COTA, and I'm kind of hoping that the same thing happens here, but it is all about getting the lap right and not losing it in that middle sector where all those S's and sweepers are. But let's get out there, get some laps on the board, see what we can do in Mexico City. We are then fastest lap in Q1, and it was our first lap of the session. It's the just long run down to the opening complex of corners. Fun little corners if you can get them right. If you can bounce across the curbs, you can really gain an awful lot of time. So we aim nice and early and bounce over the curb on both first, second and third in the end parts of the section. Get the DRS open though towards turn number 4. Another part of the track you can use the curbs to your advantage, but then it's this awkward double right-hander that comes after it. We keep one wheel away from the curbs through those two corners, and then it's, like I say, this tricky double right-hander, just waiting to get on the power run, a touch wide but nothing too major, into the S's at the tail end of the middle sector. A bit cautious through there, never seems to be able to really push through here. The car always felt like it was just trying to step away, but we run through and run a little wide on exit to end sector 2. Still looking pretty good time-wise as we head into the Forosol section of the stadium at the end of the lap. Nicely through the opening part, and then it's again another exercise in patience, waiting here to get on the power. But we keep it well within track limits before heading through the remaining part of the Paraltada. Keep nice and close to the barrier to get a nice short run to the line. It's a decent lap, should see us through.
Chance of rain now. If the situation changes, we'll let you know.
Q1 over and done with then, and it's Lewis Hamilton ahead of Jenson Button at the top of the times, with Ricardo and Verstappen there. Hulkenberg down in 9th, Vettel, Raikkonen 5th and 6th. Where's Nico Rosberg? There he is, 13th spot. We sneak through in 15th. We did only do one lap, if I'm honest. It felt good, we were quicker than Bottas at the time, and I thought, yeah, that should be fine, and then I watched us slowly slip down the order, but we do make it through with Esteban Gutierrez, Carlos Sainz, Kevin Magnussen, Pascal Wehrlein, Ericsson, Nasser and Palmer knocked out. There's a little bit more time in it, I think, so we might be able to salvage something a little better in Q2. But let's cross to that session, see where we finish. The garage then for Q2 at Mexico. Q1 was a one-lap affair, and like I said, just watching us slip down the order. I do think there's a bit more time in it. We had a pretty ropey first few corners, but it actually it gave us time rather than costing us. I think if we can get a good clean lap on the board early, we might be able to...
I know the team back at the factory put in a lot of hours getting the car ready for you this weekend. Let's repay them with a strong performance.
That's the plan, Jeff. Yeah, we might be able to get ourselves into the top 10 shootout, but it might be a stretch. It's a quite power heavy circuit, and while we've got a Mercedes power unit, we're still not anywhere near the fastest car on track. So this might take a few laps, but let's go see what we can get ourselves here in Mexico. This lap then in Q2, and much like Q1, it was our first lap of the session at the DRS Open, as we head down the long start-finish straight down towards the opening few corners. Like I said in Q1, you want to try and bounce over the curbs to get a short run through, but we're a little more conservative than we were in the first part of qualifying, actually clipping the sausage curbs a couple of times, which unsettles the car, but we're able to get through there without too many hassles as we get the DRS Open, heading towards turn number 4. This track is deceptively quick, considering as the distance of it, and we're already well into the middle sector, as we're waiting now through the back half of the stadium section, getting on the power, keeping well away from the outside curb there, so at least we're not running way off wide, and then into the S's, take an awful lot of ground on the inside there. Again, just trying to get the shortest run through, seemingly a bit more grip in this session, but still not really able to fully commit through the S's as we head out towards the Forest. Heavy on the brakes, into that right-hander. You can use the camber quite nicely to really rotate the car and then we're into the main body of the stadium. Again, just waiting to get on the power, just straightening the car up as we get into the power retarder. And again, stay to the right so you can get a nice short run to the line. And it's a decent lap once again. Again, should be enough to get us into Q3.
That's P2. You're currently in second place.
Q2 ends with us comfortably in the final session, 6th spot in the end. Just over a second off. You can see how tight it is in this grid though. Nico Rosberg leading the way at the moment, ahead of Verstappen and Hamilton. Button up there again. Then it's Bottas with 6th. Hulkenberg, Vettel, Ricciardo and Raikkonen also making it through means that Perez, Massa, Alonso, Grosjean, Gutierrez and Kvyat drop out, so both home drivers out of this one. But one of the McLarens out, one of the Williams out, one of the Force Indias out, nearly one of the Ferraris out as well. Didn't expect to get to Q3 here, but welcome nonetheless. Hopefully we can give ourselves a really good position on the grid. It'd be nice as well to qualify Button, but he's looking pretty rapid. Let's see what happens. We're going into the final part of qualifying in Mexico. First Q3 we've made in a few rounds. I think a nice mid-top 10 finish could be on the cards here. Would like to beat Jenson Button, like I said before, primarily because he's my rival, and it'd be nice to try and close a rivalry out with victory. I think we lost to Pascal, or did we draw with Pascal? We drew with Alonso and beat him.
This rain could be with us for a while.
Did we lose to Alonso? We lost to Alonso,
for the
I think.
foreseeable future.
And then beat him, and then we drew to Jenson, so it'd be nice to beat him before the end of the season. Rain is coming though, so we've got to get out there quickly, see if we can get a good enough lap time on the board to put ourselves in a really good position for tomorrow's race. There's our fastest lap in Q3, and as you can see, conditions have taken a bit of a turn. We're not really out early enough to be getting a real good lap on the board. Raikkonen the first to cross the line. We feel track conditions are only going to deteriorate, so we're heading up towards turn 1. Literally no grip here, really struggling to get the car turned, really struggling to get the power on as well. Just picking the wrong time to head out. We're bouncing over the curbs to try and shorten the distance. DRS is still available at the moment though, despite the fact the track is getting greasier as we head down towards turn 4. And once again, on the brakes, just no stopping, no real ability to get the car turned either. Just a real struggle to keep the car on the idler, let alone extract good lap time out of it. So we'll take time around the lap. We know we're not the last out though, so there are cars behind us that are also yet to set a lap time. So we know whatever we do, it's only going to be beating the people behind us. We're heading through the S's and again just tiptoeing, not able to really put the power down whatsoever as we head towards the Forest Sol. Slipping further down the order in the top 10, get on the brakes though into the stadium section, and again just tiptoe through the corners, take it steady, wait for the car to grip up before we get on the power, and through the stadium section. 8th spot is where we're down to, with only a couple of other cars behind us, so we know whatever this lap is, it's probably going to be P8 as we take the shortest run to the line. And it is 8th indeed.
So qualifying is complete and we're all set for an exciting race tomorrow. Your top 3 are Raikkonen, Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton. It's time to leave for now, but we'll be back tomorrow when the Grand Prix itself gets underway.
Well, a fairly mixed up top 10 in the end then. The rain came and we just weren't on track quick enough to get a faster lap time in. Kimi Räikkönen was the first to set a lap time. Track conditions only deteriorate from there, so he took pole ahead of Rosberg and Hamilton. Then it's Bottas, Ricciardo, Button 6th, and it's Vettel, we're 8th, ahead of Max Verstappen and Nico Hülkenberg, the only person to improve when we all went out on the Inters at the end. And it was still pretty good, to be honest. Quite happily take that as a starting spot here. Only the one Mexican Grand Prix to base it on, and we were 3rd last year. So I will quite happily take P8 in the manner. Hopefully we can... Oh, we weren't 3rd, sorry, we were pole here last year. Hopefully we can still have a really good race here. Took a 2nd place in the McLaren, and I feel like starting inside the top 10, as we demonstrated in COTA, we can start outside the top 10 and still clamber our way to a podium spot. If it's dry, it might be a bit tricky, but if we do get mixed conditions like we had in qualifying, it could be all to play for. Let's cross to the race, see how it pans out in Mexico.
Formula One may have been absent from Mexico for 23 years, but after 2015's triumphant return, it was as if we'd never been away. In Mexico, a Grand Prix is more than just a race. It's a celebration of speed and of bravery. There's nothing quite like the atmosphere in the stadium today. They'll be drowning out the cars with their noise as they make their way through on lap 1. At 2,285 metres above sea level, the thin air of the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez poses a unique challenge, not just to a driver's skill, but to the efficiency of their engines as well. 17 corners make up a lap of this 2.6-mile circuit, and you can expect incredible speeds in excess of 220 miles per hour, and overtaking too into the hard braking zones of turns 1 and turn 4. And joining me amongst the cheers of the phenomenal Mexican fans, it's Anthony Davidson. And welcome along to this historic circuit. What an occasion this is.
Yeah, it's hard to believe when you see the passion this country has for the sport that Formula One was away from Mexico for so long. It's fantastic to be here, and let's hope that the race lives up to the party atmosphere we've got going. It's a real fast track, this. We get up to Monza levels of speed down the main straight thanks to the high altitude here at over 2,000 metres above sea level. And with that comes the challenge of having less downforce in the corners. So that makes it a really demanding circuit, both for the drivers and engineers.
Okay, you've qualified higher than we expected, so let's try to build on this position throughout the race.
So before the off, let's remind ourselves of yesterday's qualifying session with a look at the starting grid. Kimi Räikkönen's perfect lap yesterday sees him start from pole position, and Nico Rosberg completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Bottas, Daniel Ricciardo, and Button, Vettel, and Amana, Verstappen, and Nico Hülkenberg, Perez, Massa, Fernando Alonso, and Grosjean, Gutierrez, Kvyat, Carlos Sainz, and Kevin Magnussen. Wehrlein and Ericsson, Felipe Nasser and Jolyon Palmer rounds off the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Thank you very much there, Ant and Crofty. Beautiful blue skies here in Mexico City, so I don't think we're going to have a repeat of COTA in terms of mixed conditions and opportunities on inters or wet. This might then turn into a bit of a struggle, but it's quite a mixed up grid, quite a mixed up top 10. Yes, the main protagonists are all there, your Mercedes, your Ferraris, your Williams, etc. But it's Räikkönen on pole, Buttons up ahead of us, the Williams and the Red Bulls are in amongst the Mercs, and we've got Verstappen behind us. P8 on the grid, you know, it's a starting spot inside the points. It's a long run down to turn 1 as well, get a good slipstream, we might be able to make a couple of moves and then dive up the inside on the heavy braking. We've just got to be smart, I think. 3 points is all we need to level 2010. I think 12 points is what, 4th? 3rd or 4th would put us ahead of 2015, but we've still got 2 races after this in Brazil and Abu Dhabi. So I don't need to chuck the kitchen sink now if I want to break those records. And I do. It's just, it's good to see improvement. Maybe it's just that the cars are getting closer because, the likes of HRT and Lotus and Catering are so far off the pace. that it was always a struggle to get close to the points unless we had some chaos, whereas McLaren and Mann are probably closer to the pack than potentially what you'd expect them to be. I think we've got to aim for points. I think maintaining this position is good enough for me. 8th spot would be 3 points. It would take us up to 80 for the season, and then we just need 8 points in 2 rounds, which again is possible. We've seen good results at Abu Dhabi before. Brazil, somewhere I enjoy driving, but we really have a patchy set of results at Sao Paulo. So yeah, I think if we can maintain our position here, finish P8, that would be great. You know, at least then we stay in the points and we pick up enough, I think, to take us past 2010. But it is going to be interesting to see what happens then into turn 1, because we're going to have cars behind us slipstreaming us. We're going to be trying to slipstream the guys in front. It's going to be like heading to Monza T1. Hopefully, though, not as chaotic. Let's find out, shall we? Let's get the 5 red lights on and out again for the 2016 Mexican Grand Prix. And the lights then 3, 4 and 5, and away we go. The hold was not long at all. A few cars ahead of us, I think, on the harder compound tyres. We got a really good start there, going about 4 wide up ahead, right up against the white line. Bottas is the man leading. Given a nudge there by Ricciardo. Off the road, we have to give the position back to Raikkonen, so we're down to 7th. Vettel off the road, will pass both Ferraris there. Back up to 5th, we were on the verge there, I think it's fighting for the lead into turn 1. Shoulder charge by Ricciardo, but it is Bottas from Hamilton, from Rosberg, from Ricciardo, and then we're in 5th with Button behind us. He jumped both Ferraris as well. First couple of laps, Button will be wanting to stay with us, I think. We'll be wanting to stay with the top 4, but I don't know if that's going to happen. So a few of them on the soft tyre, the harder of the 2 starting compounds. All strategies and plenty by the looks of it, but we're doing the same as probably most of the front runners as we head into the stadium. We'll cross the line P5 at the end of the first lap though. That's to avoid any major damage. Turn 1, which is always a bonus. But we are falling off the back of Danny Rick in the top 4 now. There's quite a gap in behind Jenson Button. We are in a comfortable spot at the moment. We're boxing at the end of this lap. Perez and Raikkonen are both got past Button behind. Hamilton's also taken the lead. We're heading in now.
Would you like to keep to the current plan or try the new one? Okay, some
The only
information
ones.
from NASA. They have an issue with their car. They're going to be slow.
Slow further back in the field. We're going to drop a fair bit in the field here. Button also has come in.
Go, go, go.
It
You'll be
wasn't
racing on
just
the
us.
exit.
Pascal's going to go by. There he goes. Palmer 2 and Ericsson. We're going just in front of Kevin Magnussen. We are coming across to defend from the Renault. We do get in front of him. So P15 after the pit stop. All over the curbs through turn 1. Warning for it as well. Too bad though. Could be much worse, and
It looks like the car behind has a small amount of damage to the front wing, but it doesn't seem to be affecting performance.
Magnussen with a little bit of damage, but yeah, not too bad. Strategy's going to be tough to read. A few people starting on the softs, a few people starting on the super softs. Interesting to see who ends up where. We need to make sure that we're quick enough to try and at least get back in amongst the Perez-Raikkonen battle. I think Perez and Raikkonen are both in, potentially. Can get back past them, so it's a long pit lane. Looks like he's actually jumped us. We're past Verstappen. Yeah, they have both got out in front of us. That's unfortunate. Just a little check of the race director. It wasn't Perez and Raikkonen that were in. It was Rosberg and Bottas who you'd expect to get out in front of us. And this little queue of cars ahead. We might still be on target to get to Perez and Raikkonen when they come in. A bit of time on the button, but right in its back. Now there's Bottas. You can just see that in front of the sights. DRS off Marcus Ericsson ahead. Close enough there. Briefly think about lunge.
Okay, some information on NASA. They're speeding up again.
Pascal is trying to get past Sainz, and they all back up as they both get it all wrong at the corner. And past a lot of them into P10. 4 in 1. Good move. Needed that. Pits, Grosjean one of them. Actually, probably Perez and Sainz as well. We move back up to 7th. Sainz is actually pushing us down the straight. Inside. I think we got past Perez and Raikkonen. Not sure who else is still in front of us. Some cars on the pits. Gutierrez is in.
Front wing damage. Minor front wing damage.
Should. Well, move back into P5. There's Kimi Raikkonen. And we have jumped Perez as well, I guess. He's going to easily have a run on us with DRS. Not going to fight it too hard right now, I don't think. Back in the slipstream though. As he backs off. Means we have to bring back out of the move. Into a Kimi this season, and that was to get through that with no contact.
Gap to go in front is 3.5 seconds.
Behind us.
We shouldn't see any rain, but if a storm front does appear, then we'll let you know.
Kimi Raikkonen should have an easy run
Pascal is coming to the pits. Pascal in the pits now.
Yeah, Perez is a little bit further back from us at least. Okay. Just be a little careful. Throwing back enough into turn 1. Another Kimi Raikkonen attack. This time goes to the outside. The slipstream is locked up though into turn 1. Again, getting enough space around the outside. Another go into 4. Again, holding off. We're all very much allowing Perez to close up. There he is. Button as well, I think. Once again, here comes Kimi Raikkonen.
16.0 seconds.
Side again. Let's see if that causes him to lock up again as he heads into turn 1. Not this time. Wide open. Once again. Rained him. This time though, we're going to be under attack from 2. As he's going for a move on Raikkonen, we're going to go for a move on the pair, and then bounce over the curb a little bit. There was some contact. Raikkonen's caught us, he's tipped around. Verstappen's now there as well. Perez had to brake check to avoid a bigger incident. Again, here comes Raikkonen, Jensen Button a bit further back. Contact again with Raikkonen. Verstappen there as well, there's Button. Could be going 3 wide into this point, which he demonstrated doesn't work, but once again, Stay to the extreme inside, bounce across the curve a little bit, through. Vettel now joining the party. Struggle to hold on to the points here. Buzzing around behind us.
We're approaching the pit window. You'll be on the mediums, so the gap to our teammate is 18.9
and Button. Verstappen will probably go as well. So there's not a huge amount they can do here. We'll just try and stay in the slipstream a little bit. Get later on the brakes, dive right up the inside. There's contact with Kimi, there's contact with Jensen. Somebody's out. Nico Hulkenberg is out.
They've got a serious car issue. It looks like they're retiring.
He's crashed. Once again, probably the root cause on that one. Back at the inside of Raikkonen. A little bit of contact, he ran what he spanned, and then clipped Jensen Button as we were trying to just make our way through the next corner. Verstappen's managed to pick his way through it all. He's now 6th. But we've got a little bit of a gap. Vettel and Verstappen now are going to be the people challenging us. You'd assume they're just going to go breezing past. Split through, have me split through the middle of them. Get back to Grosjean's pretty high. So we back off into turn 1. Verstappen and Vettel are fighting each other. They run wide, nearly run each other off the road.
We're considering switching to an
slip
alternate
back
strategy.
through.
Do you want to change or stick to plan A? Copy.
It's been trying to move us to a super soft and soft tyre strategy. Adamantly sticking to coming in at the end of this lap for mediums and running to the end. And then for our second and final stop as we just had a puncture. Perfect timing.
Strategy change available to us. Would you like to keep to the current plan or try the new one?
Just like the last stop. Jeff trying to get us to switch strategy as we head into the pits. Button's also in, Bottas has been in, red line's going to go right, he might pick up points here, Massa's through. Palmer goes past, we should get out ahead of Gutierrez with 12th. We should at least get back into the points when everybody starts pitting. We're going to go back to 5th on what is a different story.
Okay, some information on Raikkonen, they're slowing down.
Raikkonen has a problem.
With their car.
Raikkonen's about to drop out of this race. Parks in a dangerous spot. We're going to have a safety car. Pits. Should jump whoever it is. I think it's Felipe Massa.
Ahead is 2.1 seconds.
Just coming out of the pits. Just about to get past the Red Bull. We're fighting Verstappen for the rest of this race. On our tail, we're on Palmer's tail. Oh, just about avoid the back of the Renault. Just. Cars in the pits. Let's get DRS off this little queue ahead of us, including Valline Sights. There goes Vettel. Just happened to back out to avoid the Ferrari heading out the pits. Can we dive Palmer and get Verstappen stuck behind him? Yes, we can. And with your life, Julian.
Low chance of rain now. If the situation changes, we'll let you know.
He's got DRS on us. Verstappen has DRS on Palmer. Sainz has got past Verline. There's Julian. He's not going to make a move to the right side. Back in front of Red Bull. Verline heads in.
Pascal is in the pits.
On also in. We don't get DRS off Pascal, so Max will get bias. He's trying to break this out. engine against the Renault branded Tag Oil branded Renault as well. Get that round Verstappen. Threads in. Vettel and Verstappen right on us.
Gap to car in front is 20.0 seconds.
Just to the middle of the road. Let them both in for the outside, I think. Mercedes power units are an advantage because our power is slightly better than the Renault and the Ferrari in the back of those cars. If they both then have a moment together, had a few laps without the pressure from Vettel and Verstappen as they've been fighting each other, but they're back with us and Vettel wipes us out.
Engine off, engine off.
And now let's take a look at the driver's standings. It's a good result for Lewis Hamilton, who moves further ahead at the top of the table. And now I'd like to ask you, Anthony Davidson, who was your driver of the day?
Probably Carlos Sainz. You know, strong pace, good work with the strategy, just a very complete drive, I think.
The Constructors' title may already be decided, but Mercedes have extended their lead at the top of the standings. After all this drama, you'd be mad not to join us for the next race. We hope to see you then. Take care.
Well, our race comes to a premature end after yet another DNF this season, 7th we've had in 2016, and again, it just got pushed into the wall by Sebastian Vettel. We were on for 5th, which would have been 10 points, which means we would have been 1 point if we'd held it away from our best ever score. Carlos Sainz has a large/small penalty, I don't actually think. Plus 4.294 368. He's got a lot of seconds, but he still finishes 8th. Lewis Hamilton takes the win to underline his title. Nico Rosberg 2nd ahead of Ricardo, then Bottas and Verstappen. Button takes 6th ahead of Massa, Sainz, Alonso and Gutierrez with points. Grosjean 11th just outside the points. Vettel ends up 12th after pushing us off the road basically. Pascal is 13th, and it's Kvyat, Palmer, Ericsson, Sergio Perez, Kevin Magnussen, Felipe Nasr, Kimi Raikkonen down in 20th with whatever ills befell him. We are out alongside Nico Hülkenberg, and now Perez also has the same penalty, so that's a weird little glitch there, don't worry about those. What does that do to the stand-ins? Well, we remain 11th somehow, still just 2 points ahead of Button and 4 behind Hülkenberg. Vettel does lose ground, but Lewis Hamilton, obviously already champion, 101 clear. Verstappen remains 3rd behind Rosberg, but ahead of Raikkonen. Ricardo moves up to 5th, ahead of Vettel, then it's Bottas, Massa, Perez, Hülkenberg. We remain, as I say, 11th, just ahead of Button and then Alonso. Kvyat, Magnussen, Sainz moves up ahead of Wehrlein, who slips to 17th, then it's Gutierrez, Grosjean, Nasr, Palmer and Ericsson. In the Constructors, no position changes, Mercedes remain ahead of Red Bull, then it's Ferrari, Williams, Force India and McLaren. We remain 7th. No points on the board today though. Toro Rosso remain 8th, and it's Renault, Haas and Sauber. And that is very, very frustrating. We were really on for another good solid point score. I honestly think we would have had a decent number of points coming our way there. Even if Vettel and Verstappen had got past us, we still would have finished pretty well off in the points. But once again, for another retirement this season, we've just been clipped by the AI. And that's it, we're round, we're near a barrier, rips a wheel off, out we go. Frustrating. It means we've got 2 rounds to score 11 points, starting with Brazil. And that's going to be the next destination heading to Interlagos. It was a tough race. We were on the back foot pace-wise, but I do think we had enough to pick up some points. Frustrating for me, but I hope you enjoyed it. Like, share, comment, subscribe, do all the good stuff. I shall see you for the next one at Interlagos. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now.